Hello, parents, and good evening. Welcome to Back to School Night. We're going to spend a little bit of time going over some of the curriculum for this year, how our class specifically is supposed to work, getting to know me a little bit, and what my expectations of your child, your third grader, are for this year. Um, Mostly about the class, but a little bit about me. This is my 14th year of teaching. I'm born here in Portland, and then my wife, Emily, and I moved to San Francisco for a year, and then it was a decade. I taught mostly at a charter school there and for project-based learning and STEM. My wife is also a teacher in the district. She's a reading teacher. So our home is full of literacy and talk about reading. These are my two sons, Nolan and Leo, 4 and 7 months. So I am busy. We've got our hands full here. So our classroom is designed to meet your child's social and emotional needs. And the beginning of this year, just coming back to school from so long being out, that's really what we've been focusing on a lot this year so far. We also invite collaboration. One thing that about coming back, one of the benefits of being in person is that collaboration. Still keeping, our space, safety, but trying to have a common goal, get the students all moving in one direction, because really that's what the fun and the collaboration of learning is. Students expressing their learning. We'll see this a lot in our math curriculum. So we have multiple ways of thinking and multiple ways of solving, and we invite those different ways of showing our thinking. Taking risks is one thing that I invite students to do and ensure that they feel supported when they're taking risks and they know that making mistakes is an opportunity for growth. And then helping students feel safe, right? That's going to help in all of the areas so that they come to school, they know that there's a bunch of kids and teachers and, teachers in other rooms just helping them out and making sure that they are moving forward and that they know them on a personal level. Our class, so I've sent this out, but this is just the morning schedule from the time that they get here until lunch and recess. So our day starts out with a morning meeting, and we'll go over what that kind of looks like and how the students already know what to do for the morning meeting. And then readers workshop before specials. And then we'll come back. It's nice to have the kids know already what to do when they come back. So we'll finish up with some independent reading and a time for sharing out the learning after we come back from specials. And then this content time alternates between our science and our social studies and also our expeditions, which we'll touch on as well. So far, this has also been a time for community building. So creating a classroom environment and teaching routines and procedures to get kids comfortable sharing themselves and being back in school. So predominantly used for that, although we have done a science unit, one thus far. And then our afternoon, we come back from lunch recess straight into our math workshop and our writing workshop. So we'll also talk about how those are structured within those blocks of time. And then we finish out the day with more literacy, a read aloud, and a discussion of the read aloud before cleaning up and closing up and doing some jobs at the end of the day. All the kids are getting jobs next week. They're very excited about the new jobs. This you may have also seen, key practices for reducing the spread of COVID. Wearing masks and social distancing and hand washing. Those are things that, you've been really great at sending your kid with masks and they know about distancing. We've been practicing these things too. The isolation and quarantine, those have been on a school level communication. And the classroom is cleaned much more frequently than in previous years, specifically to reduce the spread of germs. And these are things that really our school's been great at updating and staying on top of. It makes me feel safe and it makes me feel good for the kids as well. This is the long-term plan for the year, and you'll notice that it's divided into 2 semesters. We have this dotted line down the middle being the mid-year report card, and then the end of semester 2 being the end of year report card. It's just nice to see color coded by subject. We're here at the left side with launching a lot of the things that we do, launching reading, launching science, and getting the structure of those things in place. So when students come in, they know how our workshops, especially if they're from a school that doesn't do a workshop model and doesn't have the collaboration that we do, it's nice to have that structure in place before we get into the meatier parts of the year with earth science and physical science, and then, of course, our explorations. So just kind of chronologically through the day, we start with our morning meeting. We use a curriculum called the Responsive Classroom, and in it there are prompts to get kids talking and thinking about different issues or invitations to open up and share things with the class. There are also procedures for us to kind of get energized when that's what we need, and also ensure that everybody knows what's going to happen for the day. We review the schedule and the calendar and make sure that before we start our day, everyone kind of has a little preview. It puts everyone at ease. So one of the things we've been doing is reviewing our character traits and seeing how in 3rd grade, in our class specifically, some of these character traits look. And so we've been focusing on kindness this week and talking about and doing some work with, well, what are some things you can do that are kind, and what does that look like to us? But we've also been reading about compassion and integrity, and collaboration and perseverance will come a little bit later. But these are things to kind of center us in the work, in the character traits, so that we also have a connection to the other classes as well. A note on responsibility. So one of the things that we expect from the kids and we've communicated is that everyone's using class time appropriately. So we always have work to do or unfinished work when you're done with things. And this is a routine that we've started to use. And then we prepare for class with materials, right? We're ready to learn. And that also means that if a student in my class doesn't have what they need, that they're communicating that if I happen not to notice. Following directions and using time. So a lot of these are time management skills that are just emerging in 3rd graders, and you'll see that they're becoming more independent, and we want to help them with that process. We want to make them more and more independent so that they can manage their time, and even over the course of this year have a list of things to do, and kind of check off things and decide and have some choice in the things they work on. Demonstrating quality work. Right? That's another thing that's really developmentally 3rd grade, is that they're trying their hardest and not rushing through things. I know that probably when you sent your 1st grader, they were focused on being the first one done. And we're no longer focused on being the first one done. So we'll break down large tasks into smaller manageable parts. And a lot of that is the job of the teacher, right? That's how I structure my lessons. It's how we structure the day. And then gradually we're going to start to transfer some of that responsibility onto the students in a very developmentally appropriate way. But it's a time when, come 3rd grade, they're able to look at a large task that might take a week and see smaller goals within that task. Using a system for organizing assignments. So that is, like I said, a checklist. That's a calendar. That's a reading log. There's lots of different systems depending on what the assignment or what the task is. And so learning those systems now is really going to set them up for success in the later grades. Safe and appropriate choices, and that's with our work time and our time management, but also being in a class of 24 people. That's with your body and moving around the class and respecting others, with your words. Math workshop. So in math, we have our adopted curriculum context, and that's our standards base, our Common Core. And then we also supplement this curriculum with two others, U Cubed from Stanford and Eureka Math, to try to get at some of the deeper thinking in math and then have students explain their thinking and show multiple ways of solving. It also, in Eureka Math, it lends itself to collaboration. So being able to work with others and have others look at your work and critique your work is a skill that just in third grade, they're ready to handle. And then our math workshop. Here's an overview of some of the standards in third grade, broken down by discipline. So some of them that I want to call out because they're either new or at times cryptic are the multiplication and division standards. That's going to be a big one this year, that they're proficient with their multiplication and division tables. They'll be able to automatically, multiply and divide. And that takes time. Right? It takes a lot of practice. When we talk about the four operations, we're saying, multiplication, addition, subtraction, division, but also knowing which is appropriate for which problem. So if you can add and subtract, that's great, but knowing what the problem is asking for is a little bit more difficult. Perform multi-digit arithmetic. Now, that one is also kind of new for some kids. In second grade, wasn't really practiced. So that's something that will take some time this year for some students. And then seeing fractions as numbers. So that one is, they've worked with fractions a little bit, but seeing how fractions compare to each other is crucial in being able to actually work with fractions. And then the last one I'd like to call out is representing and interpreting data. So that is cryptic. It's making charts and graphs and also looking at charts and graphs and being able to glean information from visual representations. And then here are some standards for mathematical practice. So the ones we just looked at are what specifically is the math that they're doing, and then these mathematical practices are how are they doing the math. So these 8 standards are really tough for kids to do all at the same time. So the teachers are always looking out for these and assessing kids on how well they're doing these, but we also teach them one at a time. So right now we're focusing on standard 1, right? Making sense of a problem. And if it's difficult, persevering and keeping at it. And we'll explicitly teach one at a time. And then I'll go back to the beginning. By the time we get to 8, it will have been a while since we focused on 1 before we do two at once. So it's nice to see these in this way, and we'll have this. And once we've done all 8, posted in the classroom so kids can go, oh, I actually did a great job with standard 6, attending to precision. So that's something that just to be aware of. So in the math workshop, since we do difficult problems and we do deal with things that can be solved in more than one way, a growth mindset is going to be crucial. So this is something that as a teacher, I model for students, making a mistake in my math and then learning from it, or being able to venture a guess or an idea, even if you're not exactly sure if it's correct. Or, in the very hardest one is being able to take constructive criticism, which adults in the workplace know that's something that is hard and is something that they'll have to do at some point. So we're just planting that seed now so that they can hear constructive criticism that is truly constructive and use it to make their work better or change their thinking in some way, to challenge their thinking. So the structure of our math workshop starts out with a math talk, which varies between one of 4 formats up here at the top. It's right now we're doing daily routines and number talks. So getting a good sense of how math is going to work. And then a number talk is really kind of diving into one concept. So we're doing 2-digit addition and subtraction right now, which for a lot of students is not hard, but it's building some stamina in math and teaching these routines. And then we'll go into a mini lesson. So it's a short lesson on one subject for the day. So it's called a mini lesson specifically because it's very quick. We want the bulk of the time being students talking about their thinking and working together, and also the work time, right? Students are working on math and working through problems. If we have a project that we're in the middle of, that would be this blue time, right, where they're working through a math project. And then closing, sometimes it's a self-evaluation. So students who have been working in partners say how they did, with working with their partners or solving and persevering. A lot of times it is debriefing, right? Reviewing strategies. There's often multiple strategies for the same problem. So it's a share out to reflect on the learning after math. And then we also have time each day for Dreambox, and just a little breakdown of what it looks like. So the students are able to see like how much time they've spent doing it and how many lessons they've completed. Then there's really 2 aspects of Dreambox. There's them moving forward in lessons as they're able to complete more and more standards, so they can go beyond 3rd grade standards. They can keep going if they're proficient in 3rd or even 4th grade standards. The other side of it is assigned, right? I can say, based on our small group or based on the work that you're turning in math, I can assign them things in Dreambox so that they can go on the computer at school or at home and work on things that they would benefit from. And that's what this is. So it's a little breakdown of what the lesson's going to be, and then a little detail or a little demo on and how that will work. In reading workshop, so this is the Lucy Calkins or the Columbia University curriculum that our school uses. And what's really great is no matter where your child is in reading, in terms of like the text level, we focus on comprehension and fluency. So we're not all reading the exact same story at the exact same time. We're pushing forward with leveled texts, but also conferring with the teacher. So kids will read with me and we'll talk about what they're reading and ask them questions so that they can really progress. If they are on grade level, below grade level, above grade level, they can keep on going. It's an approach that helps become a lifelong reader. So this is what my wife and I both teach. So we spend a lot of time talking about Readers Workshop and the readers that we worked with that day when we're having dinner. In terms of reading levels, so we use the ERLA. It's a program that we use to assess kids and see the level that they're at. So that's this here on the left. 3rd graders are in the white level, so that's on grade level. But within 3rd grade, we'll do some text bands. So there's even a more precise way of getting text. So beginning of 3rd is, level M, and then end of 3rd is a level P. And this just allows us to know, where they're at within the grade level and then where they need to go next. And then this is just a little chart that demonstrates the importance of nightly reading, which is what we do in third grade instead of homework. So we expect kids to do 20 or 30 minutes of nightly reading. And then having no homework, we see allows families to structure the nightly reading the way that they want. So, and then down here on the bottom is a little correlation between the amount of time that they spend reading at home or reading each week with achievement, overall achievement. This is the writing workshop curriculum. And then on the right, this is just the general writing process, which for some students is new to have this many phases in the writing process. And right now, actually, they're picking a piece to publish and then they're drafting. And a lot of them are sure that they're going to be published tomorrow. So it might be shocking for them to go through the process of revising a piece, maybe more than once, and editing a piece and not having a published piece even by the end of next week. So in third grade, the writing process is a little longer. They may produce less published pieces than they're used to, but we expect them to be of a higher quality. So we're focusing on the writing process. And then for word work, we have a couple different curricula that we use. Words Their Way. Typing Club Words Their Way is for phonics and word study and vocabulary. And Typing Club is so that they can use a keyboard, so they can type. So we'll do both of those. I've seen that a lot of students like Typing Club. They see older siblings or parents that are proficient in keyboarding and typing, and it's really motivating. So they'll get to do that this year, use both hands. Our expeditions curriculum, we have 2 units. We have the Land Before Time, which merges life science and geology. And we kind of keep that under wraps a little bit so that we can do a big reveal. It makes it more exciting. We can have an entry event and a guiding question. And then we also have the Bridges expedition. And in past years, we've worked with an architect in residence, sometimes in person, sometimes over Zoom. But we will get a chance this year to talk with and work with an architect so that the students can be guided by a professional in the field, but they can also do a design and get some feedback. And like we said, with growth mindset, getting feedback, going back to the drawing board and using it because it's truly constructive. And like I said, we're not going to reveal all the parts of that project to the kids because it makes it more exciting in the moment if there's a little mystery to it. So that's something for them to look forward to. They may have seen things from past years if they've been at our school, but it will be exciting. It'll be fun. And then for science and social studies, like I alluded to the fact that we do them alternating. Here is in third grade, looking vertically, some of the things that they'll be working on, things that you might catch in health, appropriate. And then in science, physical science, these are some of those expeditions curriculum. And then some of them are taught in just science units alone. Like last week we did force and motion, physical science with paper airplanes. But it was also a way for us to introduce the scientific process. We, made a hypothesis and did some testing, and we reported our findings all in a very short time, but just introducing the scientific process to the kids and how that looks with recording things in our notebooks. Additional subjects. So Mind Up is something we use throughout the day. It's mindfulness, getting into the classroom, listening to a chime, using our 5 sentence five senses to center ourselves and work on posture. It's not a long thing. It's 2-3 minutes at a time of coming into the room and just getting in a headspace where we're ready to work. And that is something that the kids have liked so far, and they've been able to get to work. It is a minute or two of focus, but in the long run, it seems to save us time because we're able to start lessons right away after they've been running on the playground in all different parts of the school. They can kind of come into the classroom, come back into third grade, and get focused. So we use Chromebooks for a number of things, and they have a Chromebook for just themselves. So we use some student numbers. If the kids have numbers that are just alphabetically by last name to organize some of the materials, and the Chromebooks are one of those things. And we've used them so far only for Dreambox and Technology Lab, but we have plans to use them for lots more things. As you know, the kids are very proficient with them after a year of CDL and hybrid. We want to use those skills that they gained last year to help push them forward. So we know that they're good with that, and they can be a tool to access information outside of the classroom. Report cards, like I said, there are semester report cards. So there's 2 of them. One's in January and one's in June. And we'll talk a little bit about the marks on those report cards. One thing you'll notice is that it is a 1 to 4 scale, but on grade level is a 3. 4 is for highly proficient. So one thing that we've seen in the past is that if someone doesn't get a 4 in January or in June, that it's, are they not doing well? Are they not on grade level? No, 3 is proficient, 3 is on grade level, and then there's 4. So there's something to indicate that they're above grade level, that they're highly proficient in a specific standard. That's not highly proficient overall, and that's why we have so many marks on the report card. It's just a breakdown of how they're doing in each area. For TAG, talented and gifted, and then COGAT, the cognitive abilities test. We do both. We do the COGAT, and we have testing coordinators. We are still waiting to hear when and how this test is going to be given. They have a plan that they have not shared with us. So when we know, you will know. There will be information coming about both of these tests, and you'll know before your child takes any kind of standardized test in the classroom. Snack time. So we do snack right after our specials. We come in the class. The kids have been good about waiting to eat because we don't want to all take our masks off at the same time. So we've divided the class into thirds and alternate which third goes first to make it fair. And then this has been a good routine that the kids are getting more and more used to. It's also, as you saw on our schedule, the end of that reading time, so that they come back from a special, they have a book that they're already in the middle of, and then they also have a time for a snack before we share out the learning from reading workshop. For water bottles, the kids have been good that brought water bottles, ones that are not leaking. So like no open cups, or anything like that. And then we will remind kids to take them home on Fridays at least for cleaning. I've noticed some kids want to take them home every day, and they have stuff going on after school where they want their water bottle, and that's just a personal choice. Here is Arrival, and I'm sure many of you know this, but here's our main road, Joss, and then everybody's coming in through the covered area, And then we have a stairwell that we share with third grade, and they go up, and then we're, of course, on the second floor up here. Yeah, it's the same door. The kids are great at it because it's the same door we use for both recesses. And then drop off. Parents stay in the car and they drop off, and their staff members. For dismissal, we've been coming out in the same, it's the reverse. Buses, these 4 yellow, those are buses. And then we walk down, and then this is where there's a ton of people. So I am having kids tell me when they see somebody and then seeing them to their family. And then we also have people walking down to wait on the wall for vehicles. So you might be here or over here to reunite and to unite. And as long as your child sees you and tells me that they see you, well, I'll tell them, have a good evening. I'll see you in the morning. Usually, in past years, I high five kids, not this year for obvious reasons. And then, so that's dismissal. For homework, like we said, 20 to 30 minutes of reading a night. And then we do other homework when we have special projects. Like your child brought home an interview about their name, right? And we use that interview to connect with each other and to share out. And we're in kind of an identity unit for the beginning of the year. So that's something where we like to send those home on Friday so that they have the weekend to kind of work on one thing. And then unfinished classroom assignments, I only send home unfinished work if something happened that your child could have controlled, right? If they didn't manage their time well, or they didn't start the assignment, then I'll say, you need to do this. It needs to be done at home. But if it was not something that was in their control, then we'll make time for them to do it at school. So, and then optional math with Dreambox, we're going to provide you with the logins. The kids have them, but we'll make sure that you have the logins as well, so that on your home computer, they can log into Dreambox and just do optional extra math. Take home folders. So we have a folder that will just live in their backpack. It's blue. And even when there's nothing going home, I will send home things in there even when there's nothing going home, we'll just leave it in the backpack. So there's always a place if I need to send a note or Friday extra homework or notes from the office, it will just all be in one place in that backpack blue folder. If they damage something, we have a bin in our classroom where I put extras. It's labeled extras. And if there's none in there, they can always ask me. Here's my email. Email is good. Parent Square is also good. They're equally as good. I get an email with each Parent Square. I do like a 24-hour turnaround. So if you email me during the teaching day, that might be the case where I'm working with your child all day and I have meetings after school and I don't respond to you until the morning of the next day. I read all of them immediately after the kids leave. And if it's something that is urgent or time sensitive, we'll respond. But I do give 24 hours max as a maximum for responding to your emails. And I always tell parents that you don't want me responding during the workday, because that time should be spent reading with and doing math with and working with your child and not emailing. So that's why sometimes there's a little bit of a lag on emailing, because I'm up in front of the classroom. And then we're getting Seesaw up and running. and we'll have lessons on there, and then we'll also have work shown on there. Some parents have said that it's a lot easier to see work if they're getting it digitally than in, like a blue folder. Also, there's a permanent record of work on Seesaw, and then paper copies. Some parents, they don't know what to do with them. So it's parent preference, but we'll put a lot of the work on Seesaw so you can see it in real time, and you can kind of have a running record of what they're doing in class. And then here is the schedule for fall conferences. There's some after school, and then there's some during school. So we will share a sign up and make sure parents know like when the sign up is going out. And if the sign up, it happens sometimes that the sign up is full. If the sign up is full, we'll find a time. We make it a priority to meet with every parent for sure. And then I had a question slide, but there's no questions now. So if you have questions, please email me. And that's questions about any of the information from this, but also just any information that you're wondering or need from me. I'm always available by email. So keep the questions coming, and I hope this was informative and fun. All right. I will see you soon.